I'm something like a nerd that learned to fight, where there's a first occurrence for sure, or twice. And if I live long enough to tell the tales, then I will. Until then, there's still pages left to write. I float the cadence like a kite in front of a bunch of Ben Franklins, waiting for radiance to strike. I'm like a spaceship in the night. To be honest, lately I've genuinely felt I'm simply ahead of time. It's either that or I'm late and I've fallen way behind. I admit I'm kinda confused by God's design. Some say nights are the cruelest and light is true bliss. Live life to the fullest, despite what might be foolish. But tonight I just might bite the bullet.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to In with Denoux featuring Jordan and Gio. And today we can finally live up to the podcast name. Gio is back with us. We have been apart podcast-wise for a while, which is a big part my fault of not communicating super great, but it's great to have Gio back. And as I said last week, we're hoping to have Jordan back in a couple weeks too. He's going to get some time off work to be able to stay at home with the new baby for a little bit. But it is great to have someone else on with me. I've done a bunch of solo episodes, and so I'm sure you guys are ready to hear a different voice. So welcome back, Gio. And today, what we are going to do is just kind of give Gio the platform to discuss some of his work that he's put out recently. He's put out 2 albums in the last handful of couple months, Blue Soul being the first one and The Psalmist being the second one. So if you have not listened to those, they are on all your music platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, what else?
YouTube,
yeah. Wherever you listen to music, you can find it. You can find it under the artist Xavier Giovanni. Xavier Giovanni.
The artist is Xavier Giovanni.
Xavier Giovanni, and it's Blue Soul and The Psalmist are the 2 albums. So without further adu, I just wanted to ask Gio the motivation behind those albums, because if you know anything about Gio, and he'll explain this a little bit, and you know, I've known Gio since we knew each other as kids, as we've explained on past episodes, but when we kind of reintroduced ourselves, I was 17, I believe, and Gio was 19 or 18.
18.
So, and as long as I've known Gio, he has been a writer, a poet, someone who takes words very seriously and uses them in a beautiful way. And so he, as he was saying right before he hopped on, he writes almost every day, but it's been a long time since he's put songs out to the public and produced them, put them out for everyone to hear. So Gio, without further ado, what was the motivation behind these albums? And if you just kind of want to talk about, you know, the message behind them, the motivation, and how people have received them, and kind of what it does for you also putting it out there. Are you scared to put it out there? Is it exciting? Is it a little bit of both? All those things. So
absolutely scared.
Yes. So first of all, welcome back to the pod. We missed you.
Thank you, man. It feels good to be back, man.
Yes.
It feels good to be back. It's crazy. I know I've been trying to get on here for a while, and then work has gone crazy, and then all of a sudden work disappeared. And so my schedule is freed up for this quick little intermittent season, if you will. So yeah, man. Yeah. I like you said, I write, bro, every day. I've been writing pretty much every day since I was 12. And if there's a moment where I don't write, it probably goes as low as like once a week, once every 2 weeks. But there's not a month that goes by in my life where I'm not writing, even if it's 2 or 3 bars.
Right.
Whether it's a reflection. I've just been a writer and a poet, and my whole life I have fun with that stuff. I've always connected to music. So to answer your question, the first question, which was, is it scary? Yeah, it's scary, bro. It's like going out in public naked, dude. Like you're bearing your soul for people to criticize. You know what I'm saying? Like you're putting stuff. And these last 2 albums that I put out aren't even the first albums that I've put out. In my opinion, the best work that I've put out. But in another season, like I dropped Dreamcatcher, which was a very, very beautiful, fun project for me. Before that, I did a project called Poetic Justice. That was fun, and it was sloppy. It was good for the time. You know what I'm saying? Like I had very rugged tools. I recorded in my friend's room, sitting on his bed with a sock on a regular, mic. And then I've done tons of songs in between that where they weren't like part of an official album. I did drop a mixtape, Knockout Kings. That was back when I was in high school. And I've been doing songs sporadically, bro. So this isn't my first rodeo. I've done songs with other people. I performed with Kenton on stage in Gainesville. You and I have performed the spoken word piece. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a writer. I preface and I lean into that heavy for a reason. Because to answer the question, what was my motivation? it's very anticlimactic. I've been writing. I've always been writing, and I always have these songs that I sit on, and then I'm like, I'm gonna get to it, and then I move on to something else, and I completely forget those songs. I'm like, by the time I get back to them, they're old. I don't want to touch them. I don't know how to touch them because there's so much newer material that I'm having so much more fun with, the newer, shinier expressions, if you will. So, anyways, that just rinse and repeat that cycle. And so, one of my part-time jobs every now and then is I do valet for private events, like big private events, not at like any like club or anything, but like at mansions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I've done mansions. These private events are just nuts. I mean, you name it, I've driven it. It's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. So anyways, I was there, and a friend of mine who runs the business, he had just gotten married, and he used ChatGPT. He plugged in some information, and then he used it to create a song. He might have changed one or two details, but then he took that and he put that in a program, and it made the song. And I was like, just like that? He was like, just like that. And he pulled it out and he started showing me. And then we there started to make a song on site. I was putting more effort than everybody else was putting in. I was like, yeah, oh, try this with the chorus and do this and right, like, you know, and you know, we were being stupid because it was hot outside. We were sitting under this podium with like this umbrella, and so I was joking around. I was sitting under the podium, sweating out the sodium. Like I was really legit trying to be stupid and put together like a fun hit. Because he was showing me the program work. And when he showed me, I was like, that's crazy. I've heard of people and artists use it. And at first I was like, this is dumb. But I was like, that's crazy. So I went and I personally got the program. And it probably wasn't until like after the first song that I was working on that I was like, oh, I'm paying for this. I'm not doing the free trial. I'm going to pay for this and tweak every bell and whistle that I can to milk this for what it's worth. So it's anticlimactic. But the point is, that's how I got into it. And that night I was like, let me try a song. And the very first song I did, the very first song I played with and that I touched around and I was like, you know, putting it in and giving it the specs and how I wanted it to sound like this. And I gave it the feedback and I did this, right, is Blue Soul. The intro to the album Blue Soul. And I was like, this is neat. And so then from there, the very next song I started working on was the Blue Soul Extended, because I was like, more could be done here. I want to see. So from there, that's kind of how the project grew, because there was 2 or 3 songs that I had been sitting on that I was like, I really, really have been dying after all. I mean, as relatable as Blue Soul is, and as ironic as it is that it matched perfectly what I was dealing with in my life. I wrote that, or at least the chorus, back in 2009. And it was originally, how can something so beautiful leave me blue? Like that's where I was going. And it started off as a parody for a friend of mine who was like, I'm working on this project. Let's call it Spoons and Forks, because I didn't sign an NDA, and she was trying to bring me on to draw scaled models for a toy line that she wanted to put out. But I couldn't know all the details. So she was like, let's call it Spoons and Forks. And in my mind, I ran with that idea and I drew Spoons and Forks and I made this parody of like this singing group. And that was their first hit. That's where that song started. Wow. But the rest built through my actual experience. So anyways, a lot of them, the songs that I led with on that album were songs that I had been sitting on for a while. And then from there, I started to piece together old works while write new works and mix and match. And it happened really fast. Now I'm going to pause there and say, I understand. I get it. I use AI to make, and a lot of people are like, it's AI slop. I get it. I don't agree. I don't agree. Yeah. I agree that in the hands of anybody, it's just a toy and songs can be soulless. But I know veterans in the game. In the game.
Gio, real quick, before you keep going, just for the audience's sake, the reason Gio's bringing up this part is before we hopped on, I asked him the question of, hey, because I know Gio and I've heard his music through, you know, my adult life and earlier in my 20s especially, is like, I knew it was him like doing the lyrics and stuff, but I knew it also wasn't his voice. So when you hear the song, you're like, oh, it doesn't sound like, when you listen to the albums, it doesn't sound like Gio, but it is him. And so that's what I had asked him before we hopped on, like, what he did
Is it
and what he used.
auto-tune?
Yeah, is it auto-tuned or whatever? So when he's going into this, like talking about AI, that's why. So those of you that haven't heard the album, that's why he's discussing this, is that when you hear
Yeah.
it, you're going to be like, oh, that's not Geo. So I just wanted to give that context. So continue.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And I think that was part of the apprehension, right? So originally when I was going to release it, I'll say this, I was just going to be like, yo, I heard this new thing, like go check it out and see what people say. But because my name is on the writing credits, because it's actually registered as an actual song and my name is written on, like it was going to come up anyways. And so if you notice, I never in any of my promotions said this is me performing, because everybody knows I can't sing. Now I could rap my tail off, but I can't sing. So I was like, hey, I wrote it and produced it. I'm not performing it, nor do I care to perform it, right? Like this is just, I want to put out good music, right? So, but I understand there's a stigma around it and there's a lot of people who hate it, and I get it because there's a lot of people who use it and the work that comes out is, it's soulless. It is. And I get it.
Yeah.
But I don't buy into the idea that it can't be used for good. And a lot of people will stand on the ground because everybody needs a new soapbox to be mad at, angry at somebody about. But like, and without calling certain people out, like the very same people that are like, AI is slop, it's this, like play with the camera all day and take pictures.
Yeah.
And yet, if you were born in a generation where the cameras first came out and artists were using it, you were getting pooped on by everybody in the art world because pictures were considered the bastard stepchild of painting, and nobody considered that art. Now today, it's not even a question. It's art. When there's old whatchamacallit, I think like articles about like you see everybody lined up with a newspaper and they're like, oh my gosh, these papers or printing all these books, it's killing trees, and these papers, all these people are reading, it's gonna rot your mind, right? Like everybody's scared of the new next thing, and they're scared like AI is it's not gonna take anybody's job. As a matter of fact, the people who are gonna keep their jobs are gonna be the ones who know how to leverage it and use the tool. It's a tool like anything else. It's a tool. I'm almost certain that you had purists when they first had their camera. They're like, Glens, you should be able to, like, there's always going to be somebody to kick against the goads. And I get it. I agree. But to me, saying that you can't use it to make a song because, especially in the Christian realm, you know, it's not human, sounds as stupid as saying, hey, why are you using AC when God gave you fresh wind to keep you cool? Like it doesn't come through. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just my take, but I get people's apprehension with it. But I know artists in the industry, veterans in the game who've been doing this since before you had a diaper to stain, who are using it as a tool, and they're collabing with it with other people, and they're putting out good work. And so I wanted to try it out, right? Like the same people who are complaining about it are the same people who Google things, but Google, why don't you just go to the library and get out a bunch of books and learn information the good old fashioned way instead of using an algorithm of AI, which was, if I'm not mistaken, AI, you know, like AI has been around long before it was in our face. You're using these algorithms to get you all this information quick, and you fancy yourself a scholar online because you can now do all the research. Why don't you do it the old fashioned way? Go sit down and read all these books, like these people, like you understand, like it sounds so stupid when we want to stay stuck and antiquated when these are things that we can use and integrate rather than just shush away. But again, I also understand, I do that it's a new shiny toy and people just want to use it, and they're putting out crap. Just because it can put together these things for you doesn't mean the songs are good. You know what I'm saying? Like one track on Blue Soul that everybody seems to love, Say When and Where, and Shadow Work. I went through hundreds of versions of that song before I was like, okay, I've landed on it. I've given it my voice note. I given it this, I given it that. It's a tool. So I say all that to say, like, it's anticlimactic. I wish I can tell you, you know, I was sitting there and I was, but that was for years I've been writing, sitting on these things. And then this tool falls in my lap, and rather than scoff at it, which is something I would do, because if anybody knew me a few years ago, I'm a hip hop purist. I hated mumble rap. Rap should be this, should be that. Okay, now you know what? Let people do with it what they want. Like I was the same guy who years ago would have probably passed up on this opportunity to just have fun with it and see what I can do with it, and quite literally pour out my soul still with a new tool. So no, you're not going to hear my voice, but you're going to hear my lyrics. You're going to hear my passion. You're going to hear my thoughts and that thousands and thousands and hours of experience, pain, love, joy that culminate in these pieces.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's very interesting because I was surprised when I heard it initially because of what Gio was just saying about how like he's a purist. And in my mind, I was like, man, it doesn't seem like Gio to use this. That's why I was really curious about this, and I'm glad to hear it because I'm hearing all this for the first time as well. So like some of the stuff we talked on right
This is
before
my
we started
first time
recording,
bringing
but
it up, bro.
yeah, so like I'm happy to have you talk about it, but that's what I thought the case was because this is obviously not even close to what you did with the album, but even like the old intro for the podcast for people that have been listening from the get go, and even before Gio had come on, I had created through a similar like software that you're talking about of like there was the intro it was like and welcome back to In with Denoux, and then it would drop the beat or whatever. So that was actually
Yeah.
me saying that just so I was like, I wonder if he used
Yeah.
something similar to like change his voice because
Yeah.
that literally was me saying that, but I just changed my voice. And the only
Yeah.
reason I don't use it anymore, by the way, if anyone's wondering, because I loved that intro, is that the music that I used, they started like to where I'm starting to somewhat approach where I could make money on YouTube. And they kind of informed me like that intro would make it to where our videos won't be able to make money. So
Yeah.
so I cut it out so that
And to be
once if we
clear,
ever do make money, we can make money. So
and to be clear, like I don't care to make money. Like I can,
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
think, but I don't care. You know what my real goal is to write songs that I've been dying to write, to
yeah,
write music that I enjoy listening to, and to plug out there that hey, I can write music. Like I still can write
yeah,
music. If you're looking
yeah,
for a songwriter, these are
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? This would get me
yeah,
placement, if anything. Other than that, if my friends and family and it goes out and people listen and they enjoy it, then cool. I don't care
yes,
to be famous from it. I don't care none of that. I am not pursuing a music career. I have just always been somebody who's expressed himself in music
yes,
and I'm going
yeah,
to continue to do that. But I will be honest, I was nervous and scared to bring it up because like people are like your thoughts, like what Gio, he's using like this program that incorporates AI and it's like, oh my God, like it's gonna take, but you know what? I don't need y'all to vouch for me. I don't get my clout from y'all. I've been doing this
yeah,
since before y'all loved me and was a fan of anything that I ever did. Like I am a writer through and through.
yes,
And anybody who knows me knows I can stand 10 toes down on that. I can write my tail off. I'm good at what I do.
yeah,
I just
absolutely,
found a new way to do it. And I don't need your approval. I don't like
yes,
the idea is it's slop and I can never, and it's all this with all due respect, like your opinion doesn't matter to me. Like what bill of mine are you paying
yeah,
for me to even
yeah,
care? Because I don't. I'm doing it for the love of. I'm not doing it for any other reason. I'm not trying to get on
yeah,
stages. And quite honestly, if there was a way for me to execute this, it would be in a creative format where I would then create like a show off of this. Like I had an idea of running off with an animated series following this artist that I'd be writing for, or a series like a very like a breaking the fourth wall, like what is that? Like a meta series where it's real meta in the fact that it's like everybody's loving this artist, but behind the scene, the main character is wrestling with the fact that like a Hannah Montana thing, like this is not really my voice and how do I, and slowly coming into that, like I wanted to have fun with it while the songs
yeah,
still being the songs that resonated, right? Like this is my life in these songs. This is my pain, but that's it. That's all I cared to do is just to continue to express myself. So once I grounded with that, I'm like, I don't care if you're impressed or not. If you like it, the fact that people sing it, the fact that I'm jamming it and I'm down the street and I'm at a stoplight and somebody's like, hey, who is that? You know how many times people have done that? I'm like, yo, this is this guy that I write for, which is what I tell them. It's an artist I write for. But where can I find it? Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been stopped. That feels good to know that the music is resonated. If I wanted
yeah,
it to be me, I'd be like, I did it and da-da-da. But I'm not. I don't care. And so there have been people that I know have tried to shame other people, which is at first what made me nervous. But I'm like, man, I don't got nothing to prove to nobody, man. I've been doing
yeah,
this since before some of y'all were even born. Like, I don't care. I'm having
yeah,
fun. I
yeah,
love what I'm doing. I'm pouring my soul out into this. This isn't a fad for me. So
yeah.
yeah,
And it's cool, man, because the albums are well. Before I say that, like Blue Soul, and I text Gio this was like Blue Soul. If especially because obviously I know Gio a little more than everyone that's listening, but Gio has shared openly about some of the things he's been going through the last few years. And so I was telling him that you could feel that in the Blue Soul album. Like, it's very real and raw, and like to the point of what he's been going through the last couple of years, which is really cool. And then the Psalmist, I also texted him, was like a little more like hopeful and like up, like a little more
Yeah.
like looking forward and hopeful. And but it's cool though, because if for those of you, if any of you listening have heard Gio's earlier work, you can hear him in it even though you can't hear him, if that makes
That's
sense.
what
Like,
Jeff said.
yeah, like you could tell it's him just with his writing style and even the lyrics and stuff like that. It's super cool. But Gio, I wanted to ask you, so like Gio said, he's been writing since he was 12 years old. And I do some writing as well. I haven't written as long as Gio, and I'm not as talented as Gio. But Jeff, speaking of Jeff, was the one that got me into writing. And it was my freshman year of college, and we were sitting in my room, and he was working on something, and he was like, "Hey bro, you should just write something." And so I just started like writing. And then the thing I love about Jeff, I love a lot about Jeff, but something I love specifically about Jeff is that he's very honest, but in like a loving
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
to where it's like he could tell you something that if someone else said it, you'd be like, man,
Yeah.
that's harsh. But if he says
Yeah.
it, it's like so genuine and loving. So he would tell me like if it was good or if it wasn't good. But when it wasn't good, now the difference of Jeff is he's not just like, this isn't good. He'd be like, hey, take this, like take the spirit of what you're trying to say, but write it in a way that only you could write it. Like, put yourself into it, right? Like, use your story, use experiences that you've had, use original thoughts that no one else could think of. And that's how I kind of got better at writing, to where I was like pretty
Yeah.
good at it. It's because I was able to tell my story through things. And so I say that to say, of like, Gio, for maybe people that are listening, that maybe it's not writing, maybe it's not poetry, maybe it's not hip hop, but what is it that writing brought out of you, and like maybe helped you spiritually, helped you in life? Like, what is it that brought you to writing, and that you come back to it often? Like you said, like there's not a week that goes by that you're not writing. So what is it that you
Yeah.
like love? What is it that it brings out of you? And maybe how does it help you spiritually or just in life in general, if that makes
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm running out of time. No, let me stop. Hamilton. What is it about writing? I think I learned early on that my voice in certain matters didn't matter. We don't want to hear what you have to say. You're a kid. There's whatever pain that you've experienced or things that you witnessed that you shouldn't have witnessed as a kid, right? Like, right? And I think it's important to note that before I got aggressive, I was a clown. I was a goofball. I just loved to have fun. And I like to create things. I like to draw and I like to write. And people made fun of me for that. For many other reasons, just because I was easy pickings. And I eventually got aggressive, and I learned how to fight, and I learned how to, and all that jazz, and in all that, I learned in a very perverted way what it meant to be a young man, a man, right? And in that, I saw where I was from that the best way to express your anger was either on a football field, boxing, or anything like that, fighting, or in music. And so I wrote a poem. And I didn't realize how cathartic it was until I finished. And it wasn't good at all, but it was raw. And and it resonated. And I lost that poem. I don't know where it's at now, but it was a poem in response to a very traumatic experience that I had dealt with. I got accused of something that I didn't do, and it almost cost me my freedom early on. And when I got cleared of all that, and when all the evidence came out, showed that that there was tampering with evidence, that there was a lie, there was conspiracy, and I'm talking about 12, 13 years old, I was so scared, and the only thing I knew how to do was write. I just felt called to write. And it's important to note that I just grew up around music my whole life. So music was always an expression in my household, very passionate expression. Like, my mom would sing salsa songs to me in English and in Spanish, so I could understand, even though I understood Spanish. Music is huge. My parents I am here on this planet because of music. My parents, a Colombian and a Puerto Rican, which generally do not mix. The two hate each other for the most part. Well, Puerto Ricans are fond of Colombians, but Colombians could be a little bit more snobby towards Puerto Ricans. And I could say that because I've witnessed it. These are my people. So anybody, you can't say that, kick rocks. Like, what brought my family, my mom and my dad together was they own on their own merit or what we would call salseros. Like they just salseros, they dance and they
Mm-hmm.
love music. And if you know anything about salsa, growing up listening to salsa, like salsa are these beautiful songs that people dance to and they have fun to. And but but there's a message, bro. So this is what I grew up
Yeah.
around. So music has always been around me. Mix that with what I learned in my culture as a secondhand, second generation or first generation on one side, and witnessing that this is the only way that you can express yourself. And I ended up being good at it because my mom wrote poetry. And so I just ran with it further. That's kind of how I got into writing, is because I learned that my voice only mattered when I had something to say in a way that could entertain people, which is ironic because that's literally the message of the poem you and I performed, right? Like you hear the
Yeah.
beat, you hear the verse, you hear the chorus. Of course, you nod your head nodding back and forth, but you don't know that this came at the expense of my English, right? Like I'm butchering the lyrics, but like the point is like people are doing this and they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, ooh, that's fire. And they're doing all this, but they don't know, at least for me, what it took to get there, to gain that and share that. Like King David, we love the Psalms, like
Yeah.
for yea, though I walk through the valley. Oh, it's beautiful. But this man is fearfully writing for his life.
Yeah.
He's a crybaby in some cases. He's a warrior in other cases. And I relate to David like that. I'm a big goofball. I'm a big crybaby. I'm emotional. I'm in touch with my emotions. I'm a softie, but I also got this side of me, right? And music and writing is where that convergence up until jujitsu, up until prayer and God, right?
Yeah.
Music at the time, the only place where all that converged in a healthy way for me, writing.
Right.
And so that's my intro to it. It's always been cathartic for me. And now it's second nature, right? Like not
Yeah.
writing is like holding my breath underwater, right? Like it's what I was designed to do. It's how God created me. And he's given me not just with words, but he's given me an explicit gift and intuition with communication, which is so much deeper than just sounds going from my mouth to your mouth, but it's this intuition of understanding people. It's just a whole deeper thing, right? And so I've come to love and embrace that. And that's my favorite part about myself, if that's strange to say, because God gave me something that I can not only use as an outlet,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also something that helps me understand him so
Yeah.
much better, right? Like when we open scriptures, the very first thing we see is God was hovering. And then he said, like, our very first introduction is to let you know that we have a God who's personal and he's creative and
Yeah.
loves to do it and said good. And so I resonate with that part of God's character. And
Yeah.
so as I matured, that's where I landed, to the point where then when I became a disciple, I was like, I'm going to stop doing music altogether and use this. And then I came back to it, and there's always this push and pull, but I've now gotten to that sweet spot of, I don't care to be famous with my music, but I also don't think I'll ever stop writing.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And yeah, I think that, I had gotten away from writing and I'm trying to get back into it. And this is like Gio bringing out these albums has kind of like inspired me to try to really keep going after it. Cause I've kind of like done a little bit here and there. Cause I feel like you'll get mad at me for this, but I have a really, really good memory. So believe it or not, everything that I've ever performed or done, I've never written out. I've just memorized it. Well, I mean,
That's
there's things that I've written out to like get an idea, but I've never like written out my full pieces. And so I've been reworking some of them, like piecing them together, because now that it's been so long, I have forgot some of them. And it's funny because Gio actually mentioned this in this answer that he just gave, that him and I, which I had completely forgotten about, that him and I
in Gainesville, bro.
performed. Yeah, bro. It was actually really cool now that I think about it, because Gio had his own piece and I had my own piece. And we were like, yo, these actually like go together really well. And we reworked it into a way where it was like,
It was like a small skit / performance.
it was
It
about
was really
like
cool.
me sharing my faith with Gio. Like his poem was about like going through this rough time. And then the words of my poem was like I was reaching out to someone. And so they just worked beautifully together. And I'm so mad because now I'm like, I don't think I have
And I
that
don't think
poem
anybody recorded
anywhere.
that. Like
I don't think
I
so
wish that
either.
was recorded. this is before like social media was around, but this is before like people were really, and people were recording things, but this is before like it was like, this was back in 2012, bro.
Yeah. So I know for a fact that some people did record it, but I don't think those recordings are anywhere anymore because it was before like real smartphones. Like there was smartphones, but not like
that.
Legit.
Yeah.
Which stinks because I'm like, I wonder if I could, because my memory is really good to where subconsciously I know it. I know it, but something will have to click for me to be able to remember it.
That was a fun piece.
That was fun, man. But yeah, so this is kind of inspiring me because I've actually been reworking a piece that I've performed more recently called Thought Process that I wrote over kind of like what you were saying about how you use something that you wrote back in like 2009.
Yeah.
Thought Process, I started when I moved to Orlando back in, I think actually 2009, funny enough. And I wrote it over the course of like a couple of years. Like it started off, funny enough, like you were also saying how lots of your writing is just for you. This started out for me. Like I wasn't going to perform it. It was just thought process. So I started writing out like everything I was going through and in like a poetry format. And I would just add to it. Like every week or so, I would just add to it. And then eventually I was sharing it with Chip Shamfont. And he was like, bro, you got to perform this, bro. And so I did it at an open mic night at some event in Orlando. It went over really well.
I remember that. I was there too. I remember performing.
Yeah, it was at like some college or something.
Yeah.
So I've been reworking that. And then I have a main one that I performed like dozens of times that's locked in. So I don't need to really rework that, but I've just been kind of reciting it here and there just to kind of get back into it. But
so the feedback that I've gotten from these albums have blown me away. And because I didn't expect to hear many, honestly. And I'll be completely blunt. Here's why. Because I know that most people, either because of their relationship with AI, their stance on it, or because Geo did it, are not going to listen to it. So like I didn't expect feedback, but the flood of messages that came in, and a lot of them being from people who are artists and really good at what they do, who haven't been doing it for years, who similarly say, bro, I feel motivated. Like you sparked something in me. And then like I hear that and I think, yeah. Okay, like if that's what this did, that's amazing. If this makes other amazing writers and artists step up and say, I want to, then yes, like that's great. You know what I'm saying? Like that's encouraging to me because I know that I had to hear somebody do something to remind me of my pen game or remind me of my passion, right? Or remind me whatever. And so that's how it works. Like we are creatures of fellowship. Nothing happens in a bubble. Ironically, ironically. Just anyways, nothing happens in a bubble. Nothing happens in a bubble. There are things that are divinely, inspired, but for the most part, we build and feed off of each other. So I think that was cool. I think one of the dopest messages to date that I heard was specifically from the Psalmist, and I could break down why the two are different, but specifically from the Psalmist, which is the second album, a brother from the church, an older gentleman, he has a younger daughter, and he hit me up out of the blue one day saying like he listened to it, which I didn't expect him to listen to, and he just kept messaging me about different things. He's like, oh, this, that, and I'm like, this is amazing. I'm glad that this resonates. But then like the following day or two, he's like, bro, like my daughter now is just playing it on her own and singing it. I'm
that's
like,
fire.
Yo, that's dope. That's my sons walk around, bro, spitting the bars and the verses of songs that I'm just like, yo, that's crazy cool. So I think that's dope. I think hearing somebody else sing your words has always been a trippy experience for me. Even trippier now getting back to the other point of like knowing that some of the things that they are singing are some of like the most painful moments for you, And so Russo was born as the culmination of a lot of the like of just this rough time that I've had gone through, while also having moments where I'm like, hold on 1 second. Allow me to flex for a second. Like, hold on. Right. And so like I'm gonna flex my pen game, but I'm also gonna continue to drop some some thought-provoking things in there, right?
Yeah.
While also just bare my soul. And so some of those songs like Blue Soul, like Blue, out of the 3 versions, and I did 3 versions because I just really liked the song. The first one
Yeah.
was a ballad, like the second one, it was extended. And I was like, what would another version sound like? And that was the radio version, right? Like, but Blue Soul Extended is by far one of my favorite because it is the most raw. Like brothers like Stefan and other people are like, I heard this song and I got chills because I know what you're going through. And oh my God, I felt it. And the fact that they felt it means that I succeeded in pouring my heart out. Now I'm almost willing to bet there are going to be people who are going to go out and listen and going to not want to feel it. That's fine. This ain't for you, but for the people who can let those inhibitions out the window and just enjoy art for what it is, I really believe it's going to resonate with them. So Blue Soul, like it's really personal. It's I mean, no, go figure. From all the from what I've talked about for the last year or two now, the coming clean to the people, right? Not just recently, but now more so for the people, sharing my testimony of the divorce, the heartache, the break, the longing for restoration, the pain of knowing that I hurt her in this way in adultery and knowing that I fought for this and knowing that families got me to all the mess, right? It wasn't just one thing, just the mess of where I was at and I wasn't doing well spiritually. I wasn't prepared to deal with these big boy things the way I should have, the way I now know how to. The music allowed me to express that. And so Blue Soul was really that.
That you had seemed so impossible. Yeah. If I could go back in time and dry those tears you cried, girl, I swear I'd be there. And for every moment we're apart, I wear a hole in a broken heart. Girl, I swear I'm still here. How can something so beautiful leave me blue in my soul? Now to loosen this hold, yeah, that you have.
And then for me, the other one is Say When and Where. I love that song. And again, you know, like those songs I think are the staples to the overall album. Though the 3 songs that I think are the well, there should be 4 technically for the use of the metaphor, but the tent pegs that hoist this project down, I believe, are Blue Soul, Say When and Where, Shadow Work, and the other one is I want to say Tatooine Sons because like that was like a personal one for me with my boys.
I think that's my favorite, bro.
Yeah,
I love that song.
Tatooine Sons is like the other one, like, you know, that like those 4 are like the emotional anchors to the whole album. And so yeah, this album is very it's raw. I'm going to use that word a lot, but it's heavy. It's heavy, but it's carried well.
Yeah. So just to point to that real quick for people that are going to go listen to it, because everyone go listen to it. Because I was going to say it is heavy and real and raw, but something that I loved about it is that there are these playful and like fun moments to it as well. Like you can feel, like you were saying, like there's the anchor songs where it's like what you're going through and heaviness and it's real and, you know, emotional, but also like one, even though it's one of the emotional anchors that you talked about, like Tatooine Sons, like it's just cool because if you know Gio, like he's a huge Star Wars nerd, right? And so if you know anything about Star Wars, there's all these little Easter littered is a great word
with Star Wars references.
I was like, I listened, like the first time I listened to it like 3 times in a row because I was like, I'm catching them, and then I'm listening to the message behind the curtain of like what you're going through and your sons and all, but then also like catching. So it was fun. And then also that with Rap Shell Silverstein, you know, which was like everybody's favorite elementary school like poet, right? So it was like that was fun too and playful. So there are songs that are like playful and like nostalgic and things like that too. So I thought it was a good balance.
There's one on what song is it? It's the one where I should know the song. There's I think it's Quiet on Set.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Quiet on Set.
That one's good too.
A whole Goofy movie reference went over their head. Like there's a verse in there where I literally say, like, hold on, I'm going to pull up the lyrics so I don't have to do it from the top of my head. Right. But, there's like, and I was talking to a friend about it the other day and they were like, I didn't even catch that. I'm like, how? I really thought more people would catch that. And I say all that to say, like, I'm having fun just being true to me. I'm not trying to sound like anybody else. I'm using my references and whatnot, right? But one of them I say,
I do not lose sleep, you couldn't move me unless my God tells me to do so. It's useless, truly. Goofy to the max, trying to talk me out of choosing the power line over quick catches to eat. Look, I hit the perfect cast, whiplash, a 2-seat, no mask. I ask that you simply view me for exactly who we imbued me to be. From the crown of my head to the sole of my 2 feet. Quiet on set, let him cook, chef. Boy, RG, give me some room, please.
it's like, oh, he's being witty. That's cool. But I'm like, that's a whole goofy nerd reference. Like, and if you listen closely to all my work, it's going to be littered with that kind of stuff, especially on Blue Soul. And even on the new album that I've been working on, that's After Hours, which we'll get to that one later, right? But like I say that because Tatooine Sons is where you hear it because it's obvious. I'm a Star Wars nerd, right? Like for anyone trying to put a dent on your potential to ball, no Death Star, right? Like people catch the reference if they know because if they know Star Wars. If they don't, they don't. But that's not the only song I do that. Like I do that in all of my writing and a lot of it goes over people's head. But again, I write for me first and foremost and I have fun with it. So, but yes, Blue Soul is very heavy, but it also has these layers of fun moments where it's just also who I am. It's authentic to the fact that I am going through this heavy life experience, but I'm also I still have this lightness to me where it's like I can hold the tension between the two. And then what's more, as an artist, take that, harness it, and put it into a fun product or thing that I can hand to people, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And originally, The Psalmist was supposed to be the third one. Like before this dropped, I've been writing and organizing and writing and going crazy. Like I went head in, bro, writing and writing. And it turned out that once I categorized everything and I looked, I was like, this could be 3. And Blue Soul was first. Then it was going to be Blue Soul After Hours. Then it was going to be The Psalmist. But The Psalmist felt ready and done much sooner. And it felt like I needed a shift. And so I went to that, which is just a more hopeful, and there's still pain in there. You listen to Keep the Streets of Gold. It's very painful, right? Like, will I ever get the Father, my sons, right? Like that's a man asking that question. There's moments of depth, not moments. It's riddled with depth. But then I also take these ICOC songs that I grew up listening to and I use them. You're right. We go from I've been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, by the blood of the Lamb. I've been redeemed, right?
Yeah.
By the blood, filled with the Holy Ghost, I am, right? Like all my, bro, like I take these songs that meant so much to me. Living Water. Like that's one of my favorite hymns, right? Let your living water flow. But then I take it and I turn it into something different and I use it in a way that I always heard it in here, even though that's not how we sung, you know? And so the Psalmist felt like it needed to come next. It needed to come out next as a palate cleanser from the first one and to hold people over because the next one that's coming out is, it's going to ruffle some feathers. I touch some subject and I go there. There's some things in there that I'm not pulling back on, right? Like I'm writing Psalm 88 type deal, right? Like I'm just there. Psalm 50, like the one where David goes like, I wish it was an enemy who did this to me, but my friend did this to me, right? Like I'm going there. And this one is raw and it's borderline cutthroat, but it's also still fun. And so these 3 albums that I'm working on are a trilogy. It's a set. There's Blue Soul, but then there's The Psalmist, right? But then there's also After Hours. Like it's a mixture of it's a trilogy before I take a break and then I work on another project.
Very cool. All right, man. Well, as we close here, I just wanted to say to the audience, this was kind of like,
we didn't even get a chance to talk about like AI and the responsibility of it, but that's another conversation.
Yeah. And we can get to that. Me and Joe will record some more episodes, especially before I head off to Dallas in a few months. But I wanted to, like, this was kind of last minute. We didn't really like plan this out. So it was a little bit like off the cusp. But as I was listening to Gio and kind of thinking through some questions I wanted to ask him, the reason I asked the second question about like how he got into writing, what it does for him, all that stuff, is that I think lots of times I meet Christians and they just don't have an outlet. And so I hope that this episode and hearing Gio speak about one of the things he's most passionate about in music and writing, that it kind of inspires you in the audience, whoever you are, that if you're going through something, or even if you're not, to have that outlet, whether it's writing, whether it's just going and walking in nature and thinking. It doesn't have to be, some art form that like comes out in terms of writing or music. It doesn't have to be that, but it could be that. So I would just, encourage you to bottle this, like what Gio is kind of sharing with us, because Gio is, one of the most passionate people in terms of like when it comes to music and writing. It's something that's added so much to his life that it's become part of his personality in a beautiful way, and it's inspired a lot of people. And I think that not a lot of people have something like that. And I know that writing has been that for me. Basketball has been that for me growing up, and that's how I made a lot of friends. And I attribute a lot of the leadership skills I have to, what was instilled on me in sports and through my dad through sports. But writing has really gotten me, because I wasn't in a place a lot of times where I could go off on my own. Like as a kid, I wasn't this person that went off on my own I was always a deep thinker, but I didn't like have an outlet for it until I learned about writing and music and things like that. And so I hope that at least one person that's listening is inspired to like try something, whether it's taking pictures, walking in nature, playing a
Yeah.
sport, getting a hobby, like writing music, writing poetry, whatever it may be.
Whatever that thing is that stands out in the back of your
Yeah.
head, as Chase says it, it's like that. Try that. God gave you
Yeah.
that for a reason. Don't be scared
Yes.
because how you express it might not look how other people express it. Even before I
Yes.
used this tool, my music was always different than how other people expressed it.
Yeah.
And that can be an insecurity because you think you gotta sound like other people, but there's only one
Yes.
you. So just be true to you, and you're gonna find your people who support it and who love it. But more than that, don't bury your gifts, right? Like don't
Yeah.
bury
Yeah.
your talents. Like it's important, man, to use what we have, because on the obvious end, it glorifies God. That's what it was
Yeah.
designed for.
Yep.
But then on the not so obvious end, it is healthy. It's a form of mental health preparation and prevention to express yourself. And I would argue that a lot of the mental health issues that come from people that they're discovering about themselves or that they faced is in some way, shape, or form. Not everybody. This isn't a blatant statement, but I would argue that you could say that for a good amount of people, even who are depressed or whatever, it's because they're not living out their expression. Now, I say that with an asterisk because some people's expression is killing dogs and putting hamsters in microwaves. Let's not do that, right? Like, if you want to
Right.
play with dead animals, become a taxidermist, right? Or become become a morgue operator, right? Like, there's
Yeah.
still healthy ways, but but for those that I didn't have to give that caveat to, like, we have to express ourselves, man. Like
Yeah.
God expressed himself and gave us these expressions through his people. Like why wouldn't we, his image bearers, do
Yeah.
that? And I can speak for me, and I'm sure you can too, Chase, that it stemmed from insecurity. It stemmed from when nobody
Yeah.
wants to hear, see, or interact with this thing that I have to offer, or it's not gonna be. And I can tell you what, every single time I've done something for somebody else thinking, oh, they're going to love this, it's fallen flat. Every time I say, I want to do this for me because this is what I feel like I need to express, it's always landed because we as people resonate and are drawn to these artistic expressions that we know come from the depth of somebody else's soul and deep within with when there's no words that can say it, we connect and we feel that. You know what I'm saying? And Star Wars, nobody, the blue suits and all that, the suits that nobody thought it was going to work, but it was a passion project for
Yeah.
Lucas, right?
Yep.
And the list goes on. There's so many examples, and so you're in good hands. You're not alone. You're not
Yes.
the only person
Yeah.
who's ever doubted your ability to properly express himself artistically. But if
Yes.
you believe in it and you love it and you're a fan of it, there's a good chance the rest of the world will be too.
Yes, absolutely. And if your passion or gift or your outlet ends up being writing, I think something that's really cool. Now, this is like a little bit a different side of things, but doing a study of all the different writing styles of the Bible is such a cool study too, by the way. Because obviously everyone knows like there's poetry in the Bible and Psalms and things like that,
Yeah.
Song of Songs and stuff like that. But like the study of the fact that, you know, obviously there's letters and there's poetry, but there's symbolism and there's, you know, things that are
Yeah.
like comedy even, right? Like sarcasm. And, you know, I was talking to
Yeah.
Phil Spadero in South Florida, who Gio knows, is like, you know, he's like well, I don't know if he would call himself an expert, but I would say he's like an expert in that stuff of like knowing like, oh, this is actually like legit things that happen, and these are things like we're not sure if they actually happened or if is it
Yeah.
symbolism, is it, you know, and it's a really cool study of the writing styles of the Bible, and
Yeah.
that might even inspire you to start writing and understanding, wow, like God, like that's how you know it's from God, is that God had all these writing styles in the scriptures, you know, that he inspired people to write in this way.
He's multifaceted. He's not
Yeah,
one
yeah,
dimensional. If you know what I'm saying? Like we don't serve a one dimensional God. Our God is one in
absolutely.
nature, but he's so multifaceted. You know what I'm saying? There's so much to him
Yeah,
that we don't understand. So to think that a book that he creates would be like this monotone delivery the whole
right,
way
right.
through, like, you know, like it's, if you ever doubted his ability to be diverse or express himself in a diverse way, just look at the earth. Just look at the earth. Don't look at
Yeah,
anything else.
yeah,
Just look at
yeah,
earth. And that beautiful oneness of earth is a mosaic of all these beautiful different things that
that's right.
coalesce into unity, right? And that's the point. That's the point of it
Yeah,
all, is can we come together with this or not, you know? But
yes,
yeah, that's, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know the different writing styles and whatnot, but I don't know that I've ever sat down and say, I'm gonna do an explicit study on just
yeah,
all of them. I'm sure that would be fun and maddening, but it
yes,
sounds like
yeah,
fun. It sounds like fun.
yeah. Because sometimes you don't know. So if you're cool with the answer being, I don't know,
I don't know. Yeah.
which
Yeah,
can
yeah.
be maddening,
I'm okay with that.
but yeah,
I'm
it's
okay
cool.
with that.
So. All right. Well,
Yeah.
Gio, thank you, man.
So
And again, everybody go listen to Blue Soul and The Psalmist, and then After Hours, you know, will be coming out
it's
soonish.
dropping on a surprise date in October. I'm
Okay.
not telling
Cool.
y'all when, but
Cool. Cool.
right
Cool.
now as it stands, it could change. But I want to let, you know, Blue Soul and Psalmist sit a little bit.
Yeah.
I was going to drop them all at the same time, but that would have felt like a lot to chew on. So I'm spacing them out. But I'm thinking sometime in October, After Hours is going to come out. And if you haven't listened to Blue Soul, I mean, I go, you know,
Yeah.
I'm setting myself up to be critiqued here, but so what? It's cool. You know, go listen to it. Like sit down and really listen to it. And then, you know, the Psalmist is a collection of praise and laments. Go listen
Mm-hmm.
to that. And when After Hours comes out, I probably am going to put my phone on mute because I'm sure I'm going to get calls. But
Yeah.
I've prepared for it. I prepared my heart for it. It's gonna be there's gonna be a couple swings in there, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not done to provoke. It's just this was the honest truth about what I've been navigating, and this is what I'm dealing with. It's been written down. We know all this. This got to come out too. But that being aside, it's all love. But
Yeah.
it's out of the three projects, if I was nervous, this is the one I'm the most nervous about, but it's also the one I'm the most proud of. So well, that's not fair to say because I also really like Blue Soul and I like songs, but don't listen to it. Don't listen to them.
It's
Yeah.
a good close to the story of the trilogy,
It
is what it
is. It
sounds
is
like.
because it closes with a punch. It closes with a
Yeah.
very hard punch.
Yeah.
But that's the point. I like to leave people on cliffhangers, right? And we'll see, right? But
Yeah.
it's good to hear from my mouth now so that it's on the record. I'm not walking
Yes.
around angry or looking for it's just this is what I was dealing with. This is an honest expression. David did it and we celebrate it and we make space for it. And I'm a writer and I'm a crybaby warrior like David. And so I'm gonna resonate. Well, not resonate. It resonates with me that he did it. So I'm going to find the freedom and the security and the safety before God
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
this, regardless of what man says.
Amen. Amen. All right. Well, as we said, go listen to those albums. And the third one will be in October at a secret date. Gio will let you know. But we love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, so glad to have a second voice on tonight. And please like, share, comment, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment below. That will help us grow. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, leave us a rating and a review. We love you guys. And as Jordan always says, we out.
Some say nights are the cruelest and life is true bliss. Live life to the fullest, despite what might be foolish. But tonight I just might bite the bullet or two, a full clip, make do with the toolkit. I'm imbued with the catch-22 and a match to the fuse you refuse to admit has long since been lit. The bomb is mid-pitch and caution is gone with the wind.